congratulations on getting this out there in the world, first of all.
Congratulations to him. Congratulations to the fans, man, because they're the one and him to make this happen. The big thing, like I keep saying, is like, his movie was already there, like when he directed it and when he was ready to cut it and was cutting it. A lot of the things you haven't seen on Justice League were already, obviously in his mind and being created. And for us, we created things for him and seeing those things not happening the way he wanted it to be, it was sad and frustrating. And so now we're all like ecstatic, of course, because, we're a big supporter of him. He's such a cool guy. He's such a great personality.
I want to just kind of start at the beginning of your work with Zack, which was Batman vs. Superman. And you went from that to Justice League. And I would just love to hear, like, what kind of elements of Batman vs. Superman spilt over?
Obviously, if you watch the two films, you know that the world of Batman hasn't changed drastically. We discover more of this world. It's broader. There's more. For example, there's more vehicles. There are more things. And of course, this is what you expect from Batman. When we were doing the Batman Superman, the Justice League was its nose on a corner there. We knew it was coming. So obviously, every design we did, I'm talking obviously for my part of the thing, but the designs were meant to be able to be expanded. Like the Batmobile, for example, I always go back to this baby because to me, that was my first thing that I did for Zack in some ways. Because when we first met on Batman Superman, the first thing I went to a cafe next door and sketched was a Batmobile. And that to me, with a few words that he told me that were very strong and to the point, made me understand what he wanted his Batman to be. And so on defining that, I knew that Batmobile would expand for the world and the world would expand. Gotham, Metropolis haven't changed. They were the same.
Yeah.
But what you discover is other part of it and that there are actually more heroes living in there too, And so you do end up, to tell you the truth, something you don't really see, you do end up creating true maps of our world, because it starts you want to make sense. If they fly the flying fox to Russia, you start needing to understand this. So it's great to see how that world, you used to know that much of it, and now you know that, and you're basically creating a map of our world, and that's amazing. That's cool.
Dude, as a DC fan, it is cool. You guys really established visually some of the coolest like corners of it, and it was cool to see. And I'm curious. This was coming out. I'm pretty sure back then Wonder Woman was already done with, or in productions at a similar time before you guys, and also Aquaman was coming later. What was it like to have to collaborate with Patty and her team to make sure that Themyscira was consistent, while also maybe communicating kind of to James and his group what Atlantis was going to look like here?
Absolutely, it was actually trippy, but because those people are amazing. James is amazing, and they're all fantastic people. So there was a great collaboration between them. That said, what Zack wanted to be able is to bring to the table something fresh and new that you don't necessarily even see on the other movies. So what we did for Themyscira, we decided, the island you're going to see it on Wonder Woman, but we're going to see the other side of it. We're going to be that little temple that we see, where the whole action happens, is on the other side of the island. So in some ways, it's a direct, although the movie was done just at the end of Wonder Woman, rather than trying to kind of figure out how that aesthetic would work, Zack found a way to go into like an ancient temple on the corner of the island. That I thought was very clever because it's not disrespectful. It is more, hey, I'm going to show a different facet. Aquaman was the same. James Bond hadn't even started to figure out he probably had it in his mind big time, but he hadn't come up with concept world yet and things. So we had to go to the Aquaman world. And what we did, we went to the ancient Atlantis. The side of it that we show on our film is not what you see on James Bond. James Bond is like prioritizing that futuristic, crazy, so again, the two worlds can live together into an harmonious, Atlantis or Themyscira. So that's the way we approached it. So we did create. We could say we created those worlds, but we created some of it. And for me, that was enough to be exciting because, I've never done a movie where I had to kind of, with the director, define so many worlds.
Dude, speaking of worlds, we saw Darkseids World. And finally, we get to see it. It is so cool to get a peek. And so I'm curious. I have two questions about that. My first one really is just if you could speak generally about the influences on bringing Darkseids World, which also means Darkseid himself has a presence, but I felt like when we saw his world and his people and all of that, that was also a character in itself.
Absolutely.
How did you guys pull that off?
I mean, pulled it off. By the way, we pulled it off because there was a gigantic amount of team together to make this. This is not the creation of a designer. It's a creation of multiple people. Visual effect people were so involved in this. Zack had a very clear idea of this. But, those are those moments in a movie where you discover a new world and, it doesn't relate to anything else that you've done and seen before. I think this I got to say, just to be fair, this was really the hard work of, many great concept artists and people working together on defining that world and visual effects. I mean, because, what we call the reshoot, the huge part of the work was a gigantic visual effect feast, obviously. Like even if they went back into the sets we had shot back then, they would create those sets digitally. So we had the same design, if you may, but they were reinvented and recreated. And that's, so that the whole thing is, and by the way, those are glimpses of the future. I know you're going to see more of that. I know you will see more of that world. It's going to expand. It's going to expand the way this movie shows you, like the way it's going. It's the expansion of future Justice League. So I don't know what's going to happen with that, but it's drafted for the future for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's actually what that was my follow up to that, is that we because the Darkseid stuff is obviously kind of the tip of the iceberg. There was a bigger plan and originally a sequel and everything, and who knows what's going to happen, what direction it might go. I would love to see this story continue. But did you guys have conversations? Like, did you know, like, kind of what corners of Darkseid's World, what kind of worlds we were going to see in the future? Like, what did that sound like?
Well, I don't know if I want to say too much about that because it's still a little bit,
Yeah, that's fair.
I want Zack to respond to you for those things because, it's so much part of a bigger picture, and that there's a strategy, there's ideas out there, the way he wants to bring it up, I think. And this is not me I don't want to, stop you, but
no, absolutely.
It's a huge respect for him to kind of drive, I think that's a question to the man, I would say.
No, I
fully respect that. Yeah,
I fully respect that, and I can appreciate it. So yeah, but I mean, like it's 4 hours long, so I don't know if there was anything deleted or if you guys had any I would just love to hear, like, what was there anything that didn't make it? Like, did you guys just shoot anything or come up, or like kind of even in the beginning think like, oh, it'd be cool to tap, because this goes into so many corners of DC Comics lore.
I don't think it was the opposite. It was the opposite. It's like the big thing is we had tons of stuff that Zack shot. Tons of stuff. A lot of material going from sets to moment to situation to location. Things that didn't make it to the first Justice League because it was a reinvention of the thing. Somebody else stepped in, and obviously different vision. But a lot of the things you hadn't seen are now in the movie because Zack knew what he wanted the movie to have in it back then. So it's more about the idea that you discovered, you've seen it on the movie. There's world of sets that you haven't seen, and when I say sets, like moments in a movie and environments that you hadn't seen before. Those were shot before. A lot of that stuff was shot in the first movie when Zack was doing it. And for people like us, it was kind of sad when the movie came out, the first version came out, that a lot of those great, actually very psychological moment, deep moment, and storytelling moment were not there. It was frustrating because those sets you're seeing in the movie now are part of the sets that really define the vision of Zack. And to have them not part of it, obviously was frustrating because those are the work we work with more intensity. We define them with, like the room with the Darkseid, the temple with the Darkseid wall. That place was really the way we approached it. Chicken, I love it. The way we approached it was about defining the story of Darkseid and everything, and that was such a great moment. And not seeing it in the movie was so disappointing, obviously.
Yeah, that was. I'm curious. I mean, when you saw the theatrical version, I mean, what did you guys have? Did you have any communication, or like, did you talk to members of the team and just be like, they really took out the best parts? Like that must have been such a weird moment for everybody.
This is what you do. The new director comes on board, and you bring somebody else on board, and person's going to have this vision to come on board. So there are choices that person makes. I'm not going to get onto the political stuff. No, but that said, the movie clearly took a turn, and a turn that reflected onto everyone's work. Obviously, Zack's work the most, but even us, the aesthetic had changed. The end of the movie, for example, Pozanov, the way that thing looked drastically different on the other, and that was not the way it was intended. And so, you don't have control over movies like that. Even as a designer, you have as much control as you can have. By control, I mean collaboration with the director, where you create something. Post-production sort of going to go in different places. As you're doing another movie, the guys are still working on this. They still develop different aspects, and things change a bit. But to that level, it was obviously, because it becomes more. It hurts more because what you put your heart into, the vision you help the director with, and you create something, and it's being tweaked to the level where it's so different. It's not a good feeling.
It was such a wild experience to watch this. I started it at 11:30 p.m. and I was like, I'm going to watch 2 hours tonight, and then I'll watch 2 hours in the morning. And my girlfriend and I stayed up till 3:30 because we didn't want to turn it off, and we both loved it. So it was so cool to see that you guys got to put everything in it. And my last couple things for you. I know I got to let you go.
Yeah.
I loved seeing Barry in the Speed Force. We see that in the trailer, so this isn't too much of a spoiler.
Yeah.
But that looked so cool. And I mean, the Flash TV show has done it one way, and we've kind of seen this but this was, I mean, what you guys did was unbelievable. I just want to hear about the design there.
Yeah, well, there's an aspect of design, but I will tell you again, it's not me trying to be modest, but that's kudos 100% to visual effect guys. They created that look, because that look, it's a visual look, a visual effect look. And that there's a point where you can do whatever you want as a designer developing a certain aesthetic, but then the tools VFX uses to create those. Yeah, to me, it's one of the coolest things. It's just so powerful. I've never seen one like that. I was blown away. I was blown away when I saw the result of it.
I feel you. And the nightmare sequence, which is something a lot of people have been looking forward to. There's the end sequence as well, which I think was part of the Zack's one edition when he got it. I mean, I would love to hear what do you think of that world? What were you guys trying to establish in that kind of?
Well, I was very involved in this because we really created large set for that, and we created the aesthetic of it, and it was like creating a wasteland, a world that's you see how he comes out of the hatch and comes into the surface, and there's this whole thing happening. It's just a sense of it works the way we designed it almost like the wasteland of our world, and in some ways you see that suddenly the whole aesthetic changed, the whole color scheme changes. We became into those earth tone and all that stuff. Is just the transition. The Batman is blue, steel is black, is this, and now we flipped him into the world of sandy dust and thing, somewhere where he doesn't seem to belong, and it's another incarnation of him. It's a reinvention of him. I really, really enjoyed that part of the film because I designed the parademon. That was part of my gig. I didn't do the creatures in the movie, but the parademons I had a blast with. And having him turning into this kind of sandy warrior, with the sand and the dust and the handkerchief and all that stuff that he's wearing. I really, really dig that, and I was very involved in that part of it. So yeah, for me. When you take a hero, you used to see your hero into a certain environment. We know the Batman. We know the colors of the city of Gotham. We know the color of his suit. We know his blackness. Suddenly he becomes, he's almost like a ghost in the night. And this time he had to become a ghost in the sand, in a dusty world. And he became that. And those are, to me, the coolest thing to play with. And when he told me about this, that day he came in, we're going to need a dream sequence. It's going to be this. I sketched him out into this world. I just had such a blast with it. I love that. I love when you take something out of the establishment and then turning into something else. I'm crazy about that stuff.
Well, man, your passion comes through. I can see. I love your enthusiasm, and I've watched the movie twice already, and I'm gonna watch it again. So I'm 8 hours into it. I'm gonna keep going. I'll get to 12 and 16.
You're gonna discover. I can tell you're a huge fan, and you're gonna keep discovering stuff.
I'll tell you, as some Man of Steel is my favorite DC movie. And I love Batman vs. Superman Ultimate Edition, and the way this story, the way you guys just completed everything. In a way that the theatrical didn't. I mean, it breaks my heart that I feel like this could be the end of it. I want this story to continue so bad, but I am so happy for the fans, for you guys, and for myself to get to see this because, dude, it was so cool. It was so cool.
The master, the man, Zack. You talk about my enthusiasm. I'm really expressive. It's my Mediterranean roots. I'm Greek and French, and I'm like always like, Zack has it in him as well, but he brings that to us. I can't talk about the movie without being freaking excited. I have to use my words. And it's crazy also, I need to say, is when we were all together doing this movie so many years ago now, and suddenly having a rebirth like that, because, it's been a lot of post-production world recently. I know we're going to have to stop, but I need to say that it's strange that there's such a gap of time between the days we were like on set doing the things, shooting, and the time where this thing is reborn. And that's a huge deal. It's just a crazy feeling.
Dude, well, congrats. I'm talking to Zack tomorrow. Anything I should ask him?
Say hi. Oh, what do you think you should ask him? Talk to him about the sequel. I would.
I have to. Well, dude, Patrick, I'm a huge fan. Thank you for the time today. And if you ever want to talk again, man, you can get in touch, because I could pick your brain on this all day long.
Anytime, Brandon. Anytime, man. Take care of yourself.
Thank you so much, man.
Cheers.